restrictive than the state, but it is the position of the state of Maryland that our young people should have the opportunity to play sports this fall, and we are encouraging local health officials to reassess their guidelines. I want to just provide a brief update on the upcoming general election. State Board of Elections has informed us that as of today, they have mailed out the absentee ballot applications to every Maryland voter. This is something that I asked them to immediately do nearly 8 weeks ago. We continue to strongly encourage Marylanders to take advantage of voting by absentee ballot or to participate in early voting. And for those who really want to vote in person on Election Day, we strongly encourage them to do so at off-peak times to avoid crowds and long lines at the polling places. Although local election boards repeatedly said that it would be impossible to get poll workers and poll judges through our efforts, the efforts of our administration, we have already recruited more than 11,000 Marylanders to sign up to serve as election judges, and we are continuing to urge local election boards to immediately contact them and train these election judges and poll workers. I'm pleased to report that our early and aggressive mitigation efforts to fight COVID-19 have been extremely successful, and that we have continued to see declining numbers in all of our key health metrics. Our statewide positivity rate is now down to 3.39%, a decline of more than 87% since it peaked at 26.91% 137 days ago on April 17th. Maryland's positivity rate has now been under 5%, which is the benchmark set by the World Health Organization and the CDC for 68 consecutive days since June 25th, and it has been under 4% for 24 consecutive days since August 8th. 15 of our 24 jurisdictions now have positivity rates below 3.5%. Hospitalizations are down more than 77% since they peaked 122 days ago at 1,711. And we have seen nearly 30% decline in ICU levels since July 25th. And we have seen a continued and sustained drop in the cases per 100,000, which is an additional metric now being utilized by Johns Hopkins, the CDC, and the Coronavirus Task Force. In just the last month alone, our statewide case rate per 100,000 has dropped by 45%. We continue to be in much better shape than the nation and better than most states across the country. And while it is absolutely critical to remain vigilant as we battle this deadly virus, it is also important that we continue to fight to protect and improve our economy and the health of our small business community and our struggling Maryland families by continuing to push to safely reopen our economy and to get more people safely back to work. Unlike many states across the country, we were able to keep more than 70% of our economy open throughout the entire crisis, and we have had more than 98% of our economy open since we completed all Stage 2 reopenings 74 days ago on June 19th. And today, I'm pleased to announce that we are able to enter Stage 3 of our Maryland Strong Roadmap to Recovery. Effective this Friday, September 4th at 5:00 p.m., all Maryland businesses will be able to open. Movie theaters and live entertainment venues will be able to begin safely opening at 50% capacity or up to 100 people at indoor venues or 250 people at outdoor venues, both with appropriate health and safety guidelines in place. In addition, all retail stores, as well as churches and houses of worship, will be able to increase capacity from 50% to 75%. As we begin to move into stage 3, the law still empowers individual counties to make decisions that are more restrictive regarding the timing of stage 3 reopenings in their own individual jurisdictions. I want to remind the people of Maryland that moving into stage 3 does not mean that this crisis is behind us, and remind them that we must remain vigilant so that we can keep Maryland open for business. As we head into the holiday weekend, I want to wish everybody a great holiday, and I hope that everyone enjoys some time with their family and friends. But I want to remind them again of something that we brought up maybe a month or so ago, and it just came up again with our most recent findings of our contact tracing efforts. The number one activity of those who have tested positive since mid-July, reported by 41% of all those who were interviewed by contact tracers, was attending family gatherings. So, you hear about things and you think it's maybe dangerous to go to a restaurant or a bar or some business, but in fact, the number one thing reported is family gatherings. And, the next highest activity reported of those positive cases at 19% were house parties and outdoor events. So while we want everybody to enjoy the holiday weekend, we tend to feel safe when we're around our family and friends, and in fact, that's when we let our guard down, and we don't do the things that we do when we're out in stores and out in places where we're actually being careful and following all the good advice. So just want to remind them of that. To further enhance our state's contact tracing efforts, I'm pleased to announce that in collaboration with Apple and Google, Maryland will be one of the first states in the nation to use Exposure Notifications Express, which is a state-of-the-art app that is designed to help public health officials more quickly provide notifications for residents about potential COVID-19 exposure. And we look forward to working together with Apple and Google on this exciting opportunity. As we move into this third and final stage of our recovery, I want to again sincerely thank our doctors, our nurses and public health officials, our small business community, and most importantly, the people of Maryland who have really pulled together over the past 5 months to respond to this unprecedented challenge with incredible courage and perseverance. And it is thanks to all of you that we have crushed the curve and saved lives, and that our response to this global pandemic continues to serve as an example for the rest of the nation. At this time, I'm going to turn the floor over to Secretary of Commerce Kelly Schultz, who can provide us with an update on our economic recovery and on our efforts to keep Maryland open for business. Madam Secretary.
Thank you very much, Governor. It's a good afternoon indeed. Thank you. From the earliest days of the pandemic, the Maryland Department of Commerce has worked to support our businesses through this unprecedented and challenging period. Through our COVID-19 emergency relief programs, we have awarded nearly $175 million in grants and loans to thousands of small businesses in Maryland. We've helped them keep their doors open, pay their bills, and keep employees on the payroll. Throughout the reopening process, we have worked closely with our partners in Maryland's business community to make sure we help them get back to work in a way that keeps customers and employees safe. Commerce's business development team, along with our tourism division and our arts council, worked with 13 advisory groups from industries, including tourism, manufacturing, retailers, restaurants and bars, and attractions, among others, to develop industry-specific guidance and best practices for a safe reopening. These included recommendations for keeping a clean workplace, staggering employee shifts to minimize contact, installing signage or barriers to encourage social distancing, and other crucial steps to help us curb the spread of COVID-19 as the state reopened. This guidance was posted on our Back to Business website, along with the Maryland Strong Back to Business pledge that we encouraged businesses to sign and display publicly so their employees and customers could have the confidence that they were being protected. We have already gained more than 156,000 jobs during our recovery. Our unemployment rate is below the national average at 7.6% and falling, and all Maryland businesses now can safely reopen. We have stayed strong during this pandemic, and we will remain vigilant. We are, in fact, keeping Maryland open for business. Commerce will continue to work closely with our business community to ensure that proper steps are taken to protect the health of employees, of customers, and of all of our Maryland citizens. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you. With that, we're happy to take some questions. Kate?
Hi. Can you give us a little more information about the Apple/Google notification partnership? Do you have any concerns about privacy or trust issues with big tech companies, and how will it help contact tracing?
You know, I think you stumped me with the very first question because I don't have a lot more information. Unfortunately, the experts on that topic are, I'll make sure that our comms team follows up with you and put you in touch with the experts who have more detailed information. I don't think neither Secretary Schultz or I have that information, but we'll follow up with you right away after the press conference. Angela will make sure we get you all the details. Okay, thank you. Sorry. I think it's the first time I didn't have an answer for a question, ever.
Governor, are you frustrated with the school situation? You alluded to that in the beginning, with some of the counties not submitting plans, and a lot of parents saying, go back to school. Do you think it's political? I know you said last week it's not, but do you think some counties actually pushing back because they don't agree with your stance?
Well, I'm frustrated. I was simply frustrated with some of the way it was portrayed. I mean, for example, last week, we said what I said again today, that we put out a plan saying we'd like you to get some kind of a plan to get some kids back in school sometime this year, and we left it up to them. We didn't order anybody to do anything, and the response was, oh my God, he's ordering us to go back to school right now, which we didn't order anybody to do anything. We didn't say anything about this week. There was hysteria about it was late, it was rushed. It was within 48 hours of when the plans were reviewed, and it was 2 weeks after they requested more guidance. And we said you have 45 days to take a look at it. So it was a lot of pushback, I think, from the teachers union and breathless coverage and editorials in the Baltimore Sun. But the fact of the matter is that it's a careful, important consideration that we have to listen to teachers and parents and students, and everybody wants to do this as carefully as we can. And there's real opinions on both sides of the issue, and I understand that. But I think just not basically saying the dog ate my homework and we're not going to do any plan for the whole year was not acceptable. And the State Board of Education decided that that was not acceptable. And 2/3 of the counties did a great job. It's just one third did not. And I think now hopefully they'll go back, and we're not rushing anybody into anything. Maybe the first quarter they won't be able to make any progress, but hopefully by the second quarter they will, because we have some of the best health metrics in the country. I was on the phone with many of my Democratic and Republican governor colleagues across the country, some of whom have health metrics 3-4 times worse than ours, and many of them have all their kids back in school already. I mean, we talked to one governor yesterday who has every kid's back in school since August 1st, and their health metrics are 3 times higher than ours.
Based on health metrics, do you believe that every county can safely move into stage 3 and reopen every business, increase capacity limits to 75%?
Well, it's what all of our experts believe. I mean, our numbers, it's what we're below in every county, all of the metrics that would allow you to move forward. But again, the counties by law have the authority to make those decisions. It's not up to me to decide what they want to do. Aaron?
In your roadmap for recovery, you described some of the things that we'll be doing, high-risk activities that requires either a widely available FDA-approved vaccine or safe and effective therapies that can rescue patients who could just potentially be and then continue. Obviously, we don't have a vaccine.
Right.
Can you explain why we're ready to open these high-risk activities now in the absence of one?
Well, for example, so the plan has changed a lot since April when we put that out. and it's evolved. We've already opened a number of Phase 3 things in Phase 2. We did a number of Phase 2 things in Phase 1, so it's an evolving process. But I think there's only 5 states in the country that don't have movie theaters open, so when it was written in that plan, I'm not sure. Things have changed since then, and everybody believes that we can do it. We're doing it with they have the entertainment industry, kept through Kelly's work groups, have put together very safe reopening plans, and all the states around us have done this already, Virginia, Pennsylvania, Delaware, and all, we believe we're able to move safely forward. And we're not opening at full capacity. We're still we're just slowly entering Phase 3, and we're going to see how that goes before we lift all the safe capacity restrictions and whatnot.
So, Marilyn, can you describe to Speaker Jones' letter about the eviction assistance, and what assistance do you want to see available, if any, to landlords who may be facing evictions because their tenants aren't paying rent?
The landlords and the tenants on the evictions? Yeah. So we were one of the first states in the whole country to put a moratorium on evictions, and I signed an executive order, back in April, I think, on this topic, because there were a lot of people really impacted, but there's no question this impacts both the tenants who are suffering and some landlords, some of whom are not big landlords, but who are families who own a second home, who are also potentially in the process of losing their home. So we're trying to work together and provide relief and help all of those. But the letter that came from the legislature, I haven't really read the letter yet, but we already reached out weeks ago to work with the federal government, CARES Act funding, to see if we couldn't get relief both for tenants and landlords. The CARES Act, we cannot use CARES Act funding for this. So the question is, where do you come up with the money? And the legislature didn't have any ideas for that. They just said, spend several $100 million more. And as usual, they don't have any suggestions on where we get the money from. And we're in a situation where we're in a situation where we have billions of dollars in shortfalls, and we're looking at cutting things, not adding things. And so I haven't had a chance to review any of those proposals yet. Actually, they didn't make a proposal. They just sent a letter to the media.
What are some out-of-state guidelines of people traveling from out of state? Are those now lifted? Are those still in place? What's the latest?
No, the guidance on some of those states is still in place. We said states that have a very high positivity rate, and I don't remember the exact number we have, but I think it's 20%, and there's still a number of states that have those kinds of numbers, and so we still advise people not to travel from those states, and we still advise them on a voluntary basis that they should get tested when they return and that they should self-quarantine. We have been removed from everybody's list because we've fallen below every category and everything, including that. I think New York and Massachusetts had us on some cases per 100,000, which we've now dropped by 45% in 30 days. We were way under 5%, as I mentioned, for the long period of time, but there was one metric that somebody was using, and we're no longer above that metric. So, but ours is still in place. There, sadly, are still some states in really bad shape. We're just happy not to be one of them, and we don't want to become one of them by having people bring it in.
I have a question about the election. You touched on the State Board of Elections. Do you have confidence? Do you feel more confident now that the State Board and the director will be able to pull this off successfully? And did they give you any indication of why they waited 8 weeks to send out the application letter and didn't just do it when you first directed them to?
I'm still concerned about whether or not they're going to be able to pull it off, and we're going to continue to try to stay on top of them. Although they don't report to us, we don't really have a lot of oversight authority. I'm going to continue to push to make sure that whatever we can do. For example, we said we wanted them to open more polling places, which they did. We said they need to get poll workers, which we did for them because they didn't do it, and we said they needed to mail these ballots out. It took them 8 weeks. I don't know why, but finally they're out. And so, but I'm concerned about crowded polls and them not responding fast enough. And I think we're going to work with the legislature to continue to stay on top of the Board of Elections because I'm not completely confident that everything's going to go smoothly. And we're going to do everything we can to assist, as we have been.
Governor, I have a question about the ongoing investigation into North Grass and the Maryland Environmental Services. I heard your explanation at the previous press conference, but I was hoping you could respond to a text message that McGrath sent you that's now
Yeah, we didn't discuss it and we didn't agree to anything, and that I'm the one that provided that text message, which came from him after the hearings last week, which I did not respond to. And I can't tell you what the purpose of him sending that text was, but I'm the one that provided it and immediately called the governor's counsel to say, I'm not sure what this is about, but take a look at this. You can also look at the other text message I provided, which was to my chief of staff, Matt Clark, saying, how in the heck does somebody get a severance from MES while they're doing a lateral transfer? Obviously did not know about it. And it was 2 months after the alleged occurrence, 2.5, 3 months later.
What was your reaction to getting those messages from him that went from you?
I immediately called my counsel and said, let me show you this message, which I couldn't say what the motivation was, but I'm the one that provided it to the council and asked them to provide it to the legislature. So I have no more comments about that. Thank you.